Hey guys and gals, welcome back to another Vinny Vid Productions presentation. I am Vinny, your host, also known as BNSF 6951 and also known as Cousin Vinny. If you guys like watching rail fanning videos or run-off sessions on my layout that's sitting behind me, scratch builds, or live streams, then please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And after you hit the subscribe button, don't forget to hit the bell. This way you'll get notified every time I upload a video or a live stream. And I wouldn't mind you giving me a couple of those also. Anyhow, with all that being said, let's get on with the video. This Vinny Vid Production video brought to you by Yankee Dabbler. Don't forget the 5% discount code BNSF 6951. Alright guys, welcome back to part 4 of Tony's build. As you can see right here, I'm starting to do the cross members that will hold the crane. So the crane will be sitting, let me get the crane over here. The crane will be sitting on here like this. And so this is going to stretch across the building. And what I'm doing right now down here is I'm adding these 45-degree angles that'll go up against the wall inside the building. Now, I made these little jigs right here. This represents the back wall. This represents the beam that's on the back wall. And so I could just set this over here like this and put him in there like that. And I know that when I put him in the building, the angle and the beam are going to fit directly inside of these guys here. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and take this one apart and we will do this one. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put him in there like that, and we'll do one side at a time because it is so little area for this to grab onto. So now what we'll do is we'll wet a little bit of glue on this scrap right here, and we'll take one of my angles that I already have pre-cut and we'll dip him into the glue right there. Make sure you get enough on there, and then just go ahead and put him on there gently. And it's not an easy job, and I would recommend starting off like that and then putting them in there. Anyhow, we'll let that dry a little bit and I'll kind of tweak it out and straighten it out a bit, but this is the best way I think of doing it because I don't like doing measurements. I'm not good at math, so that's why I take as little shortcuts as I can. Anyhow, with that being said, we'll let this dry up. We'll get the other one on this side and I'll show you what these are going to look like when they're in the building. So with that being said, hang on and we'll be back in a little bit. Alright guys and gals, the next step to move on to is the beams that the crane will be riding on. And this will be the crane and it'll be riding on here, but it's not going to ride directly on here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some HO rail on top of here like that, and the crane happens to fit perfectly onto that rail and it'll slide back and forth. And I'll do the same thing for the top of this, so the carriage or the working end of the crane can slide back and forth also. Anyhow, just to show you guys that I do make mistakes. When I first put this one in, I cut these guys too short, so I had to improvise and put something in there. So these are going to look like plates that are attached to the walls to give this cross beam some support. And then also, once I mount these in the building, there'll be a couple of supports coming down, going down to the floor of the foundation. So before I can do all of that, this one here, I still need to paint the plates that are going to go up against the wall so they don't stand out like that. But what I need to do is clean these rails up, and because I have taken them off the ties, and there's extra glue on there and stuff. So I just got my little file and basically just went up and down in the web of the rail. And then I did the top of the rail to make sure all the glue is off of this, so we get a nice steady ride, if you want to call it that. And the same thing with this, basically all four sides, just to make sure you get really good adhesion when I glue this down. And I'm going to use that super, well, I guess it's the super glue. It says super glue on the label. I read the instructions on here, and there's nowhere that it tells you what the ingredients are. It does smell like CA cement, but I can't be sure. It says you have 10 to 45 seconds of setup time. So I guess that's your working time. Whoever asked that question, I forgot, and I'll put your name down here in the bottom of the video somewhere. Anyhow, that's what I'm going to use to bond the rail to the plastic, and hopefully that'll work. And before I do that, I'm also going to have to scuff this end up. So, like I always tell you guys, I don't like gluing on paint because it usually doesn't stick. So I'm going to sand that down so we get a good adhesion between the rail and the plastic. Anyhow, with that being said, let me finish up this, and I'll bring you guys back in a little bit. Alright guys and gals, when we left off my last little clip, I said that I was going to use this HO rail to put on top of these supports like this. And when I put it on there, it's kind of like it looks overkill. So what I did, as I always do when I run into a little situation, is adapt and overcome. So I'm going to use my N scale rail as I originally was going to do, but what I had to do, the reason why I didn't want to use the N scale rail is because when I put it on, when I sit the crane on it, it was rubbing on the plastic, so it wasn't deep enough. So what I did was I added these two little plastic strips in here, and now when I put it on the rail, it's got a lot of clearance that it will not be hitting this. So with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and cut some of this off. Take some of these out. And let's see if we're long enough with that. Yeah, so what we're going to need now is your Zuron trail nipper, rail nipper, not trail nipper, rail nippers, Vincent. And let's put this way. And the flat side of the rail nippers will go to the side that we're going to keep. So that would be that one. And then we'll go to that one. And now, because this is metal going to plastic, we're going to use that super glue, that Gorilla Glue. And let's see, I think this guy's got a little kink in him. He does. Just a little bit of a tweak to get it straight. Yeah. Alright. And so now, when I take this guy and put him on top of here, it looks a little better. Aesthetically looks better. And then when I put the crane on there, it will slide perfectly with no problems. So, let's go ahead and get the glue out. First of all, let's cut these down a little bit closer to the size we're going to need. And I'm going to leave a little bit of room on this side because this end and this end need to be sitting inside of a beam. So I'm going to leave a little bit of room there. Not very much. Alright, and let's see what we got now. And I already went ahead and sanded the top of this so it's down to pretty much down to the plastic. And another thing about this is that this will also stiffen up these beams, so there wouldn't be that much of a lag, or a, you know, well, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Anyhow, that's going to look good right there. So I'm going to go ahead and get my glue, and this is it right here. make sure you get the flat part of the rail down. I'm getting like Sparky, getting glue all over my fingers. Again, this is I wait until it kind of adheres a little bit before I can let it go, because the rail looks a little bit crooked and I want it to be as straight as possible. I may have to put some more glue on this end, but maybe not. Alright, that looks pretty good, I guess. And this guy, yeah, see, I'm gonna have to put a little bit more glue on this end. Anyhow, you guys get the idea of what we're gonna do here. I definitely like the N-scale rail better than the HO rail. Definitely looks a lot better. Looks a little bit more prototypical. Anyhow, I'm going to let this dry up. I'm going to do the other side, and then I'll show you how these are going to fit inside the building. And I'll show you what else I got planned for this stuff right here. Anyhow, we'll see you guys in a little bit. Alright guys, as you can see, I've got the support for the crane in here. There's one right there, and here's the other right here. They're not permanent yet. I still need to put the crane in there and make sure that the distance from these two walls is pretty close to the same. At the same time, I also went ahead and put the rails on top of the crane itself, so the working part of it can slide back and forth nice and easily, like that. And I decided that this is not going to get a conventional yellow color. Different crane manufacturers paint their equipment different colors, so I'm going to make this a Vinnie built structure crane. Let me back up, a Vinnie built structure manufactured crane, and it will have a special surprise on there also. Anyhow, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and paint this. I'm going to go ahead and secure those two sliding rails inside the building, and then once I get the floor kind of complete, there'll be stanchions that'll go down from these beams for the crane, because I don't think that the stretch on that I-beam is kind of far. It's about 80 feet, so it's going to need some support in the middle too. So with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and continue on with this, and we'll be back in a little bit. Alright guys, now that you've seen how the crane is going to be in there, I need to get this guy ready. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but I have the outline of where the building will get glued to the foundation. And also I will be putting some yellow safety stripings around all the openings here, just to give it that little bit more detail. Now, I am going to use this gray paint. I don't know if you can be able to see the color on the top there, but it works out to be a pretty good color for concrete. And also I may put some joints in here. Don't know yet, just add that little extra detail. Then for the yellow, what I'm going to use is this highways and byways street graphics, because I can use them for whatever. It don't have to be just for street graphics. You can use it for anything. So again, that was highways and byways street graphics. He's got a website, and I'm sure that he will be happy to hear from you and order some of this stuff. It also comes in HO. So with all that being said, I got this pinstriping tape that I'm going to use to mask off the area that I do not want to paint, and we'll start from there. So anyhow, with all that being said, let's go ahead and start doing this. I'm probably not going to record all of it, or if I do, I'll probably fast forward it, just so you don't get bored of watching it. I'm also going to need my trusty little hobby knife. So with all that being said, these will get done on the inside of the lines, and this has got a backing on it. Got to make sure you get the backing off of it. Alright, and what I'll do is I'll cut these a little long so I can tuck them under. It'll be easier to peel off later on. Alright, and so with all that being said, we're going to cut off all this extra backing so it doesn't get in my way. And that goes to the garbage. And we'll go ahead and continue this off camera, but I will stripe around each one of these. Just add, like I said, just add that little bit of detail. Anyhow, I'm just going to continue on this and bring it back when it's all masked off and all painted. So with that being said, we'll be back shortly. Alright guys, I have decided that I'm going to put some expansion joints in this concrete base. So how I'm going to do that is, first of all, I ticked off 20 scale foot intervals along the foundation, and then I'm just going to take my hobby knife and line these marks up from one side to the other, and we will just take it and we'll take the back side of the knife and we'll just give it a little bit of scribe up to the tape. I'm not going to go across the tape, but doing it this way gives a nice deeper groove, and you'll be able to see it after it's painted. Oh, I didn't put a piece of tape on there. Interesting. I missed it. Alright, we gotta get that one. Oops, I didn't want to do that. Anyhow, I can just keep going with this, and as you can see, there are some lines in there, and when I paint this, those lines will become more apparent. Anyhow, I'm going to continue with that, and I'll bring you back after that's all done, and put this one piece of tape back on here that I missed, and we'll go ahead and paint this and see what it looks like. Be back in a little. Alright guys, there's one correction I want to make before I go on any further. When I told you to put the expansion joints in here to use the back side of the blade, I made a mistake with that. I was thinking something else when I said that. Just go ahead and use the regular side and only hit it once, because you're working with really thin plastic, so you might cut through it. So just very gently just score it once with your knife, and you'll be okay. Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and paint this, and we'll get it ready for the yellow striping, and I think after that we're going to call this video good. So with all that being said, stay tuned and we'll be back shortly. Alright guys, as you can see in front of you now, I've got the I'm going to call it foundation. It's not really a foundation, I guess you would call it the floor maybe. Anyhow, you can see all the white on there. That's the places that are either going to be glue or getting some of the stickers that I'm going to put on there. And I explained to you guys that I was going to use these guys here from the Highways and Byways road graphic kit. Anyhow, these are real easy to use. They peel and stick, and once they're on for pretty good. I've been using these for a while now, and I'm pretty happy with them. Anyhow, with all that being said, we're going to start doing this, and as you can see, a hobby knife would be helpful if needed, but usually if you just bend it back like that and put your nail under it, it will come right up, as you see right there. Now let me explain that the outside line here and all around, I'm not going to put any yellow on that because that's where the building gets glued down to this foundation or floor, or whatever you want to call it. But every other place is going to get the yellow. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start with this. Now what I'll do with this is the same thing I did with the white tape, the masking tape that I used, is I will overlap this a little bit so I could tuck it under, and it'll be sure that it'll stick a little bit better. And I do this on all mine where there's going to be getting close to track work and moving vehicles and so on and so forth. I will put the yellow striping on there. Now as you can see, we only got half of the floor, half of that one line done, which is okay. You can you can overlap these, and it would be pretty hard to see the seam. Anyhow, as you see, I'm pulling up number 2, and just patience, guys. I say that all the time, but it's patience that makes your model come out good. And once it's over, I overlapped it right here, and you could hardly see the overlap. So now I'm going to take my knife And we're going to cut it right here on this line, just like that. And then I'll go ahead and put this line on here. And you can take this little spare piece and put it back on the paper, and when you need a small piece, you'll have a piece waiting for you. And I'll go ahead and trim that down. So you guys get the idea. I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'll do a second line, this one here, and then I will do the rest off camera, and I'll bring it back and show you what it looks like. And when I bring it back, it'll be the end of this part 4 of this build for Tony. Because this is where the building gets glued, so we'll just take him off. No problem. Alright, anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up off camera, and I'll bring it back when it's finished, and we'll discuss the build up to this point. So, with all that being said, I hope to see you guys in a couple minutes. Alright guys, as you can see, we got all the yellow safety striping on here. You need to remember that these 2 stalls right here will be inside the building, and this will be a drive-through stall. That's what Tony wanted, so that's what I built him. So anyhow, we're going to call this video good for now. I think the next video, number 5, will probably be the last one that we'll do. It'll be the reveal and all that kind of stuff. We still got to paint windows and install all the window glazing and all that stuff. So, with all that being said, I hope you guys and gals enjoyed this video, and as always, your questions, comments, inputs, subs, shares, and likes are always welcome. For now, that's all folks. BNSF 6951 and Cousin Vinny out for now.